Oh, I picked these up at a train show. Picked up two of these up at a train show. The train show I went to was okay, but not awesome. Um, Last year was actually better, some better deals and stuff. But I picked up this New York Central PA1. What's going on, Gerald? And I picked up this 462 Pennsylvania steam locomotive, which is going to be interesting because I'm curious if it actually runs or not. The guy said it didn't run. I only got paid $10 for it. And then this one I paid 24 and the guy claimed it ran. So, and I didn't have anything in New York Central yet, and I like the PA1s for it's kind of grown on me. The nose, that long nose, I didn't care for at first, but slowly I've kind of gotten to where I like them a lot. So I got those, and then this I got on an eBay auction, and I've never seen one like it as far as the way the paint was done and the number. I couldn't find anything identical. It's definitely a proto, but I'm not 100% sure what exactly I have here as far as the shell goes. I don't know that I've seen another one with this style of shell. You can see it's got a guy in the cab, and you can kind of see through here to where the motors are and stuff. So I'm kind of curious to pop this one open and see what's inside. But for starters, I want to see what we can do with the steam locomotive, and then I'm going to jump in the diesels. The diesels are right up my alley. I'm really good with working on the diesel ones, but I don't mess with a lot of steam, so I wanted to try to tinker with this one this evening and see what I could come up with on it. I do know right off the bat that it does need some of the linkage type stuff here worked on. I think it's on the other side, but I want to see if I can get it to pick up power good and move well. So we're going to kind of figure this out here for the first time together. I do have to fix this strap. I'll have to make a new strap because that strap's broken. But otherwise, hopefully we can get this one going. That I might be able to re-drill that and put it in there. I don't know how close it's going to put me to the cab. But let me turn some power on here and see what we have. Okay, we've got effort. It's trying. That ain't bad for $10 for him saying it didn't work. It's trying. And I think that it's more or less a pickup problem over anything. And maybe that the gears are real dry. It needs some lube. So that's definitely a good start. Let's look at the bottom of this thing and see what we got going on. Let me see. I thought I had a piece of something soft to lay it on, but either way, it's not in the best of shape, but it ain't beat all to hell either. So let's take a look here and see what we got. So we got the wire for the trucks, or for the tender that runs up to the cab. And if I look under here, we've got one gear in here, and I'm not sure what brand this is either. If somebody has an idea of maybe what brand we're looking at, that'd be nice to know too. If I set it on top, what we got going on here? What's it look like on the other side? So that arm folds backward. I believe it's a 462 is how they claim for this. Looking at it, yeah, because see, we got 4 non-pushers, 2 in the rear, and then 6 in the center that drive. So I think it's a 462. Let's see here. That little arm. What does that little arm do? I think it goes here. Yep, that's exactly what it does. So this arm is supposed to, I think, attach to this and then go back to the third wheel. I think that's probably part of my dilemma here as to why things aren't turning like they're supposed to. Let me grab a pair of tweezers here to try to turn this. Oh, right on. If I can see if I can turn this back around. So this, I think, is supposed to go back to here, but how? That funky little turn arm is supposed to be down, not up. So somehow it got twisted into the upward position. It looks like that arm might be bent a little bit too. So we're going to grab this and I'm going to try to get it to come around without bending it. We have this here. These arms are all tied together where they're supposed to be. So, what's going on, CEX Railways? That's got to go through there. There's really no other place for it to go. It's got to have gotten bent at some point and then shoved through backwards. So we should be able to shove that, back through and then turn it back down to tie it back to this. Whether I'm going to get that or not. It's definitely old. How old, I'm not sure. I haven't found any actual writing on it. But I'm trying to... I don't know if this actually is part of the functionality of the locomotive. I don't know if it makes a difference or not being unattached. As to how the wheels turn. I don't think it does, looking at it. But yeah, see, that arm's supposed to go down right here, and then that piece is supposed to come back and tie to this. Let's turn it around and see if I can get anything, see if I can see anything, because I can't see it looking at it blind from the back side. See if I can see if maybe it's binding up here or what we got going on. I don't think it is. I think yeah, it's just supposed to follow it to look right. Thank you, Lone Soldier, for the follow. So I don't think that part affects it, so I can work on it later. Because you can see how that runs there. So I think my main issue is got something to do inside with or bad connection to the motor. The motor just might need to be run. Unfortunately, I don't have any track laid out where I can actually run the thing. But if I can see the worm gear. Let me pull it up here so I can show you. Yeah, definitely gears and needs oil and grease. I can see the worm gear right there. I was looking to try to find the commutator. That's the commutator there. I might be able to clean that a little bit under the wheels. This might be an easy clean without actually disassembling, and see if we can get it to start moving. So the first thing I'm going to do, I got to find something, I guess maybe a Q-tip, without getting in under the brushes. And I'm going to leave it hooked up for now. But if I can get in here like this and just kind of turn it and rub it and get some of that garbage out of there. Yeah, I might end up turning it over and doing that exact thing. I'm just curious here as to what all we got going on. Let me find my rubbing alcohol here. I'm going to put a little bit in a lid and use it to try to wipe that commutator down real good. But yeah, this is cool. I haven't seen one like this yet. And this one's actually of decent quality from what I can tell. But let's see here. Let me dip this in some alcohol. Yeah, I think it has. The guy acted like he didn't know a whole lot about it, and the motor turns real easy. So we got that. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell just by looking at it which wheels are doing the picking up. There's definitely grease on the inside of the wheels that I can see. But I'm just going to get what I can find here on it when I'm cleaning it. And then I'm going to get me a toothpick and a little grease to put on that worm gear in here. And this is a dielectric grease. I think for those of you who have heard me say it before, I use dielectric grease when I can. Put it on here and put it in them worm gears and let that start to circulate. And then I'm going to put a little bit on this drive gear on the bottom. I had an old German-made switcher that would move, oiled it up, and it took right off. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of greasing here and see if we can't get the sucker to get moving. I've got that one little pin that I've got to work on, but it's not affecting the wheels turning. So hopefully a little bit of grease here will help free this thing up. I'm going to find out. I'm going to turn it over on its back here and kind of go off like what CSX said there, and I'm going to try to add a little power with my other controller to the tender, and then add some power to the and the tender looks pretty filthy as well. The wheels do. They look like they've got a lot of filth picked up on them. So I'm going to try. Let's see if I can get it to stay on there. And then add to, it didn't stay. I've got to find a place that'll actually clip. If I can get it clipped to that wheel. There we go. Drag this over here so you can see. So I've got one clipped to that rear tender wheel, and I should be able to, ooh, here we go. And we've got a lot of squealing going on. I may have a motor bearing that needs some work, but oh, right on, Scott. So we're just kind of running it for a second. I don't want to run it too awful much, but just try to get some grease into the gears, and that grease is already gone here, so I'm going to add a little more to it. Yeah, it definitely needs oil, but I'm trying to get the gear drives done first here, and then I'm going to have to find a way to expose that motor so I can put some oil in the motor bearings. But I'm kind of excited. He said he didn't think it worked at all. I said, I'll take a swing at it, and for 10 bucks, I might just have me a nice little 462 locomotive. I think this will be the biggest one I have so far. I'd like to get a few more that are bigger. I'd like a big boy eventually, but that's time and money down the road. I'll work on these and fix them all day long if I can get away with it. I don't know that they're gone. We're going to add some oil and see what happens, but it's definitely running easier than it was, and it's picking up speed. So now that we've gotten that far, and I've gotten grease in the gears and I've got grease in the worm gear, I'm going to see what I can do to try to get access to the motor without completely gutting it. Thanks for the follow, Paul. Without completely gutting it and taking it all apart, and try to fix it. If I look down in there, I see there's a flathead screw here down in the smokestack. And then I'm looking for another screw without yanking the bottom apart. There's a screw here and a screw here, which may very well take the top part off here. Does this cab come off? No. Well, it's plastic. It may go with that. What's in there? I can see the end of the motor. Man, I think they're neat just to look at, even if you aren't able to get them going. I think they're cool just to look at. I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to give this the good old, what do they call that? I'm going to give it a shot to bring her back to life. I'm going to pull this screw out of the front, and I'm hoping whenever I take the top off that everything doesn't just fall out with it. We'll see. But I'm going to pull this screw loose here. There's another one in the center. Is it under one? Is under this cap maybe? I know there's one on the end here, and then there's two on this end. I'm going to go ahead and undo this for the moment. My tender. That way I don't have to fight with it. And then that'll give me a chance to look for my, what we got here. Okay. Oh, that's the end of that. That's the end of that deal for the thing to hold the tender on. So that screws for the tender. I'm going to put that up there, and then we can actually start kind of, ooh, that's a long screw. So there's that. Thanks for the follow, Marco. I'll try to yank this one out here too, and these two on the ends anyway, and see if that takes care of it. See if I can get this top off or not. I know you said there was one silver in the cab, saw on video. Let's see here. Oop, that's all it is. That's all it takes. Okay, so the two screws in the back, the one screw in the front, and I got to be careful. We got another wire tied on here to the front. Those go in the front like that. So I got to be careful. This is an all metal top piece here, and I think that wire is for smoke. Maybe. No, I take that back. I think that's just for the light. Let me see if that'll, there we go. Okay, so there we go. So that's completely gone, or out. I'm gonna lay that on its side. Got this screw here. Where'd the other screw go? It's here because, oh, there it is. Okay, there's that screw. So those three screws are what hold the top on. Mine each side of tender screw light. So we have this, and then we have this. So if we look in here, I've got probably an ample amount of grease there on that drive, and it looks like it only runs off of one deal to power the other two wheels. You got your arms that turn the wheels, but you have your worm gear that just turns the center. So let's take a look in here. I want to try to see where the bearing, how the bearings work here. Got the magnet on the end that holds that all on. I don't know if I can get in there to that or not. We're going to try though. And this would be my negative. Clamp onto that. This would be my positive. We would tap onto this. Well, I got to turn it on first. That always helps. Okay, so now I know I can do that. And that's wide open. So I think we've, like they said, the bearings are really, really worn. So next step that I'm going to take here is I'm going to try to put a drop of oil in that bearing on this end. This end's the least risk of getting oil in the motor. And if it drops down in the gearbox, I'm okay with that. There it goes. So I can let that kind of sit in there like that, hold it up and down like this, and let it run into that bearing. put new magnets in the motor. I've seen that before. Like, I haven't seen it. I take that back. Scratch that. I've heard about that, but I have not seen somebody do it yet. And I'd be curious as to where I'd pick the magnets up from, because that would be something I might be interested in doing in the future, working on these. And I'm just kind of turning the motor here and working that bearing a little bit. I'm going to try to keep up with the messages as best I can. So there's that. And then on the end, I really don't want to even make an attempt at trying to pull that screw because of the way they made it. You have to pull the motor off to get to that screw, or you got to pull the body away, and I think you have to pull all this apart to do that as well. So I think I'm going to leave that alone for now. I used to work on slot cars, and you can change the armature. Okay. That's if I knew what brand this was, it would help a lot. I don't have a name at all on this. You'd think they'd be a little prouder of it. This is a pretty cool little design, but I don't have a name on this at all. That's for that. Got to remember that. There's, oh, wait. Hold the phone. Look at right there. Mantua. So it's an old Mantua steam locomotive. It's actually, these are metal. It's got metal trucks here. Got to keep that turned the right way. But yeah, it's got it's an old Mantua locomotive. That's pretty cool. So there's my answer. Yeah, it's a Mantua. I just now found the writing on it. So that's pretty cool. Let me see if I can try to get a drop in here. I do not want to get it in the motor, so I'm going to try to drop it down between the magnet and the plate, and then hold it up like this and see if I can't get that to kind of run in the end of that bearing. What's going on, Davis? Thanks for the heart, man. I've heard about using Labelle. It's not that I won't use it maybe in the future, but I use what I have. This stuff's supposed to be perfect for little motors and such. It's not dielectric, but if you're careful with it, I won't get it in the motor, then I should be fine, at least for doing this anyway. This isn't anything really, really high-tech. I only paid $10 for this. I'm just trying to get the thing to come back to life. Probably can if if I start looking, I might be able to find a motor for it. I'm just curious to see if I can add a little bit of oil to this and a little bit of grease to this and get her to come back to life, because I feel like it's got some gumption left in it. I mean, it is trying to turn all 6 of them wheels, and look at that. It definitely got quieter. We've got some arcing going on the commutator. But we're definitely in better shape than we were. This is a 462 steam locomotive. And just putting some oil on that on those 2 bearings made a big difference. I actually had a PA1 Athearn Blue Box that needed oil on the worm gear. And once I did that and got it working, then it worked great. What condition is the COMS? C-O-M-S. What is that? What does that mean? Neodymium magnet. Okay. Yeah, that's working awesome now. Commutator, thank you. Commutator doesn't look too bad. Doesn't have a lot of scrapes on it or anything. I did wipe it off with some rubbing alcohol. If you look in there, it's kind of hard to see. It's definitely had been used, but it's not atrocious. And actually, I can see the gaps in the commutator. I am going to get me a toothpick here and try to get some of that stuff out of there. Just be careful not to break a tip off in there when I'm doing it. So I can turn that down just a little bit there and then run it through that gap. I can knock some of that soot and that out of there too. That'll help. You can see the buildup that's in there. I'll do that. We'll turn it and we'll hit it again. Turn it and hit it again. That's cool. I'm happy that this one's got something left for me. Instead of being a... You're welcome, Maxima. Instead of being a shelf piece, at least it's coming back to life here. After I put some oil in them bearings and clean out these little gaps here in the commutator. And then I'm going to go ahead and run it and clean it a little more. The brushes actually look pretty nice. There's still a ton of brush left in there. I don't know if you can see that or not. But right there is the brush, and there's still a ton of brush left, and it's not got a really huge curvature to it where it looks like it's been worn down. So let's try this again. It's definitely getting better. I can smell it a little bit, but that's to be expected if this is something that sat and didn't run for ages. That's awesome. It's working really well. I'm kind of surprised. I don't think we were getting anything on the light, which that's what it is. That's expected, but I don't have a bulb to switch out of it at the moment, and we're just going to live with it being what it is. So let's see here. I am going to get just a little bit more grease to put on that worm gear before I'm done with it here. Cover that up with some grease. I did. Yep, I run it in both directions already. I'll show you again if you want to see that, Wendy. So we're going forward. And actually, that motor is picking up speed. Slowly but surely, it is getting faster. Turn it the other way. It is definitely picking up some pace here. Yeah. Thank you, Mad Dog. Can't beat $10. The guy said he didn't think it worked. He had tried it or something and it wasn't working. And all it needed was a little bit of oil and a little bit of grease. And ta-da, we've actually got something that runs halfway decent. So I'm just kind of excited to throw it back together. I've got to clean the tender wheels real good. They don't pick up real well. Yeah, it sounds really good too, Maxima. I was kind of surprised. What am I looking for here? Alcohol. That's what I was looking for. And a Q-tip. New one. So that's a great start, having this little steamer run like it does. I'm pretty excited about that. Now, the only catch here is, can I get this to do what I want it to do? And if you have the commutator turn away, then you can finish cleaning the rest of that off. Now take apart a River Rossi. I don't have one here. It's on my list of things to do. It may not be fun, but we'll give it a shot if I can get a good deal on one. Yeah, she's coming around. The only thing I can think that might have a little more resistance on it are where the arms are. So I am going to just put just a little on there, and I've got a paper towel to get off the excess. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Where's my paper towel? I said I had one, and now I can't find it. Where's it at? Now I can dab it off after I put it on. Where did it go? I know I had one sitting up here. About 5 hours for a big boy. That doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of wheels and a lot of drives there. That would be rather wild. Let me. I got to run and get a paper towel, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so go ahead and dab what didn't go off of those wheels. And the motor actually hasn't gotten too warm either. I'm going to go ahead, after I get the whole top end together, since the motor's running good, that's the next part of this is going to be, yanking the bottom end apart, Sierra Valley. I'm just stoked that it runs as good as it does. There we go. So I need to put, somehow I have got to get that arm. I'm curious as to just how that got to be where it's at. Because that arm is supposed to go down. There it goes. And then it's supposed to tie on right here. And I don't know if that's like mushroomed on, or if it bent and broke off, or what exactly we had go on there. No, somebody absolutely didn't give it any love. That's a fact. Were they? Yeah, I don't know much about this style of motor. I just kind of know how to service one. But if I can find another donor for it or something in the future, then that would tickle me to death. I don't know if I can get that pin. That is so small. It's so hard to see. And I got every light in my room on, plus one over my head. I don't know if I can get that back in there or not. I might be able to pinch it back in. My hands are actually fairly steady this evening. Is it back in there? Well, hot dog. I think it's back. Plenty of old Mantuas out there. They went on a shelf when DCC came around. Well, they don't go on my shelf. I don't fool with DCC all that much, at least not yet. And even when I do, I want to have a switch where I can run my DC models as well. I don't see any need to put them on the shelf if they're perfectly good running locos. Turn the power on, that helps. Look at that. There we go. Oh, there it fell back out again. So I'm going to have to do a little work there. Flat nose pliers. I hear you, Sierra. I'm going to try to push that back in there with a pair of not the round tips, but a pair of flat pliers. I've got a pair in my toolbox. Oh, all my tools are behind me if I'm not using them all the time. Let's see if I've got, here we go. These all work. It'll mushroom the rivet. Okay. Well, let's give this a shot again. Use my Gorilla grip here. All right. Now let's see if it stays in there or not. Well, for now it's going to stay. Perfect. Thank you for the advice, Sierra. That made all the difference in the world. Cool. So now we've got that part done. We're going to go ahead and put the top end back together. I've got grease in here, oil in here. Actually grease into the lower part of it where I greased the bottom. And now we're going to put this dude back together and see what we can do about... I'll do something with this light later. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'll do something here in the future. Push that back up in there. That wire is getting kind of grim too there on top of the motor where the light's supposed to be. I doubt that would be hard later, but I'm going to do it first anyway. Line that up. Line this up. There it goes. Perfect. Yep, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to oil the other side over here and then oil the gears underneath. I'm going to pull that plate out and oil that as well. I got my little flat screwdriver here. Tighten this bad boy back down. Turn it over here. I'm going to unhook this so I can put these back in. There's one. I do have to say, this must be a fairly older Mantua, just because of how the quality of how it was made. It's made fairly well for what it is. Yeah, the motor might have its share of problems, but I mean, like, as far as your screws have metal housings to screw into, and it's kind of impressive. It looks, I don't know if is that original? That looks like pieces of wood in there and different screws. I don't think that's original, but heck yeah. So that's all back together. Go ahead and yank this bottom plate off and see what I have down here. I don't mind, like you said, like somebody had said earlier, I don't mind putting a little grease down here. I've got that dielectric stuff that I really, really like. That's weird. I've never had anything quite like that. So that's the one on this end. Uh-oh. What was that? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, so to undo all of this, that motor comes out. So it's something new to learn. So now I got to have the bottom apart and the top apart to do it all, because the motor comes loose when you do it this way. So now that the motor's loose in there, we're going to have to do it the other way. I have to undo this and take the top back off. But at least we got the drive going good and we got the motor going good. So there's that. But now my motor, you see here, my motor's loose when I took that screw out. But in order to take that out, now I've got all of this apart. But that screw goes right here and goes right in here. So I'm not thrilled that that happened, but I guess that's just how it works. So now that motor's completely apart from the rest of the drive. That's what I thought too, but that's not the case in this one, because this screw right here holds this well, maybe you are right, Sierra. Maybe I thought that was holding it in and it's not. Okay. Maybe that screw does stay in there. I just pulled the wrong screw thinking they all came out. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, look at that. Yep, you're right. So that screw didn't have to come out. This plate will come out with the 3 gold screws and not the black screw. So we'll turn that dude back over and go ahead and get that mounted back in there. You were correct. I didn't realize that. I couldn't see it. Get that lined up right. Yeah, rookie. I told you, man, I don't do a ton of the steam stuff. I'm big into the diesel stuff. So this is kind of a, I know a little bit of what I'm doing and I understand the concept, but this isn't my forte at all. So I figured I would kind of learn as I went. And looks like you have to come in here now from now on when I have one of these steam engines apart. Because I don't fool with there it goes. It caught. Because I don't fool with these steam engines all that much. So here we go. Back to business. Yes, sir. That is right. That's why we help each other out. This has got this really thin, almost like, it reminds me of the paneling that they would put in a trailer. On the bottom of this, it's really, really thin, tight, papery type stuff, and I haven't seen anything quite like it. There's that one. That one must not be out quite all the way yet. There we go. There we go. So there's a gold one. There's a gold one. And there's the cover. No surprise there. The plate. The plate. Does the plate come off? I don't think it does, because it looks like that screw holds it down. So the plate has to come off somewhere. That's not holding it. That's not holding it. Looking down in here. Yeah, the shell is pretty heavy. I got you, Sierra. Not a bad idea, really. I would assume that's nylon. It could be plastic too, but I would assume it's nylon. I'm trying to gently pry here. I don't want to. I think this screw still holds this in beyond that plate. I think it does. I don't think it holds the wood plate on, but it holds the motor in for sure. So back that off and pull that out of there. Let that screw. There it is. Sure. Oop. Oh shit. Nope. You stay in there. I don't need that quartering. I don't need quartering problems. You get your butt back in there. I don't need that kind of trouble. That's frustrating. I've had that problem. I don't know. I didn't know anything about this until about 30 minutes ago, IDK. It's new to me. And actually, I'm not using that. I'm going to use grease. I got it for $10, and I'm kind of learning a little something about it. That's not going to work real well. Let me get my screwdriver here and dab it in there. That's a good question. Sierra might have a better idea on it, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure how old this locomotive is. I don't know much about these steam locomotives. I'm a big diesel guy. Love the diesel stuff, but I don't know much about these. This is a dielectric grease. It's food grade. It's pretty good stuff. And that's what I'm using. I've got too much here, so just bear with me. Don't lose your mind over it. But I'm just trying to get that grease down in there, and then I'll take off what I got to take off. I'm not too worried about getting it on the wheels because it is dielectric, but at the same time, I don't want to get it on there and cause a ton of slippage either. Let me get some of that back off of there. Wipe it in there and then rake it off. Same here. Wipe it in, then rake it off. Yep, because I don't need that. Okay. Late 60s before Tyco merged with Mantua. Awesome. Thanks for the follow, Jerry. I'll show you the grease I use. Multi-purpose synthetic grease. It's dielectric, heavy duty, food grade, clean grease. So we've got some grease in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn them a little bit here and make sure everything kind of stayed where I wanted it to. Work that grease down into those wheels. Make life as easy as possible on that motor. I got you, Sierra. Yeah, otherwise you'd probably have a Tyco stamp on it. Let me get some of this grease here and put it back because it run off the sides. There we go. Heck yeah. I'm going to get just a fuzz more to put on that drive gear itself and kind of wipe it into the teeth. And then we're going to go about putting this plate back on. Thanks for the follow, Ron. Drop that dude back on there. Push that screw back through. Now we flip her over and put that motor back on. Bear with me. That should be close, at least enough to get it started. I just got to try to hold that on while I screw it back in. Oop, we caught it. That's good news. Just got to make sure that spins freely. We don't want to have the motor in a bind. Thanks for the follow, Mad Dog. There we go. Motor spinning freely. We'll go ahead and make sure everything's jiving like it's supposed to with the one screw in before I put the rest of them in. Let it all kind of work itself into place. And that is wide open on one of my small Bachmann controllers. I don't think this one was meant to go, you know, balls to the walls, but she does work good. We're going to run it the other way. Maybe. For oil, I'll show you. I use, let me unhook this real quick. Okay, turn that off. For oil, I use this. I don't have any label, but this is 3-in-1. It's engineered for 1/4 horsepower motors or larger. For electric motors, pneumatic equipment, fans, all of that. So this works good for that. And then for like my gears and stuff down low and then in around the motor when it's not an actual bearing, I use this dielectric grease. And it works really well. It's called Super Lube. It's not the cheapest thing on the planet, but it does work really, really well. So now we got our motor in place. I'm going to flip it back over. We're going to go ahead and put these plates back on. I'm excited to put this thing back on the rails. Unfortunately, I don't have a track to run it on at the moment, but that's a little bit of time and money down the road. I've been putting it off. I ain't been putting it off. I take that back. I've had a lot going on between working on a few trucks I have out in the garage, trying to get them going. I've got another one for sale. Just life. But I do like to sit down a couple nights a week. That's true, Sierra. It will run slower. It's just best I, like we did here, is oil and grease the dude up. That way it takes as much strain off of it as I can possibly get. Yep, you are right. With it being bigger, that big heavy shell and that on it, it's going to be a little bit, what would be the term there, tumultuous. Thanks for the follow, Flex. Appreciate that. I'm trying to catch people as they come through. If I miss anybody, you ain't going to bother me none if you want to comment twice, and I'll try to catch everything and you all say. So there we go. So there's our screws in the bottom. Now we can go back to the top and we can put the top back together. So we'll do this again. I'll be a pro before this is over. Well, get in there. I don't want to glue that in there because if I glue it in, then I will be mad trying to get it out. So if I can just get it to stay in place while I put this all back in place, like so, put my metal wires back in the front of the cab where they go, or in the front of the steps there on the plow. There we go. And then gently get it to kind of settle in place. Got our wire here. We're good here. Okay. Let's see if I can get this top screw to set and run down. I'll get the grease off of this screwdriver real quick. And you can feel it most of the time when they start to get tight. Should be any second now. And it's not getting tight, so we're not lined up quite right somewhere. That's what it is. It's sitting too far forward. So, got to lift it up a little, slide it back a little. There we go. That's what it was. It was not sitting backward far enough, and that's why it wasn't lining up like it was supposed to. Try this one more time. This should take care of it. Yep, there it is. It got tight right there. Turn it over. Go ahead and do these screws here. Perfect. Same on this side, and I still have a little plastic arm here I got to fix, but that's we'll wait on that. I'm not pulling a load with it. I'm just going to make sure that it works good, and then we're going to move on to our 2 diesel locomotives that we've got to work on this evening. I'm really excited we got this one to work like it was supposed to. At least up to this point anyway. We have not finished it quite yet. So there's that piece. Now for this. So there's our screw and our washer thing and our contact that screw in right here. And they go to this metal frame. But if you see here, my metal wheels are pretty dirty. So we're going to take a Q-tip and some rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to get as much of that garbage off as I can. It's not going to be a perfect deal because these aren't powered, so they don't stay in place real easy. But we're going to put some alcohol on them here and try to get the majority of that stuff off. See if it helps with our connection. I do not have a fiberglass pencil, otherwise that would be my next best choice. I need to buy one and I just haven't done it yet. So there's one. You can see I got a lot of filth off of that. It looks like it's time for a puzzle piece. There we go. There's our puzzle piece. And we're going to kind of just wipe all of the grit we can get off of these wheels. Turn it over and we'll use the clean end on the next truck. Right on, Sierra. Happy you stopped in, man. Thanks for the tips. I appreciate it. These steam locomotives aren't like my forte yet. This was pretty cool that we got this one going. You have a great evening too, man. I'm not holding that wheel. There we go. And this isn't going to clean them perfectly, but it's going to get a lot of it off. To the point we should get a better connection. Okay. And you can see what all come off of it. So, let's turn her on her side here. And go ahead and hook her back up. This has got to go on first, and then the plastic piece, and then the screw. And I think it went like this. Actually, I think it goes on like this. I think it was this, and then this. Like so. And then to get that started, I don't know if it's going to stay. Hopefully it will, so I can get it screwed in there. Look at that. Didn't think it was going to be that easy. I want to get that straighter there. There we go. All right. Now I still got a little arm I got to make, which I'll go find me a bread tie or something to make me a new arm. But for the moment, let's see what exactly we got here. That should have made a huge, huge difference in the running of it. Now, it is a heavy locomotive, like Steve said, Sierra Valley. But let's see what we got here. There we go. And I think more than anything, it just needs time running and to be opened up and be able to run wide open for a while and really get a chance at running. I think that's the huge issue with this one. Just needs some time on the open rails with the motor running. And maybe worse comes to worse in the future, I can take this one and do some kind of a retrofit motor and make something a little better for it, because it is a good quality, well-made locomotive. And from what Sierra said, it was made in the 60s. So I'm pretty impressed with that. We're going to set that one to the side for now, and we're going to dig into this PA1. This PA1 I've got here, I picked up at the train show for 20 bucks. I paid more than I wanted to, but I wanted it, so it was a little bit different. I don't have any like this. So we're going to go ahead and pop the top on this before I even set it on the track, and we're going to see what it does. And while I've got it out, I am going to grease it and lube it and get it up to snuff where I want it to be as far as it running good. And this is an old one. If you see here, it's got no flywheels whatsoever. It's got an older motor. That commutator's pretty well used. Let me find my alcohol here. I'm going to put a little more in my cap because this one's going to need the commutator cleaned. What's going on, Danny? Let's see here. But yeah, I am totally stoked that I got that 462 to run like I did. Just needs some time running on an open track, in my opinion. Thanks for the follow, Michael. I appreciate that. It's weird. I had something odd on the end of that Q-tip. Here we go. So if you look in here, here's your commutator. And I'm just going to take and put my rubbing alcohol in there and turn it like this. You could do it with the motor running too, but I haven't ran it yet, so we're just kind of getting the bulk of the stuff off here. Now I'll take the clean side, and I've got some fuzzies there, so I'm kind of pulling it off as I turn it to keep from drawing that into the brushes. American Flyer. I believe that's I don't know if they made anything in HO gauge or not, but I have a couple of S gauge American Flyer locomotives. And the one I have, I found it in a garage, all dusty and sitting for years. And I put it on the track and I cleaned I turned it over and cleaned the commutator underneath, and it ran good. So I don't have anything against them. I think they're neat little locomotives. I kind of like S scale. Oh my gosh, this one actually, for its age, it runs really, really well. We're going to put a little bit of grease in the gears and some oil in the bearings, but there's nothing wrong with this whatsoever. This thing runs really, really well. I am impressed. The only thing I think we have a little trouble with here is I got a little bit of dirty test track. But yeah, that works awesome. And if you look here, my little ears here are clean. That top's clean. It sat somewhere cool and dry so it didn't rust. So that'll be a nice project to do my soldering job on as well. So I can solder on contacts to the top of the motor to here. That'll be nice. Awesome. Wheels are clean. I'm going to go ahead and put the grease in. Got my screwdriver. Because if you're not putting grease in them for any reason other than this, you want to do it for the longevity of your motor. If it's not even for the health of the gears, if you don't put it in for the health of the motor, you'll prematurely burn up your motors because your motors are having to strain harder than they should have to. There we go. There's a little bit on the front there. And yeah, there's a lot in there, but I put a lot in there because it's got to make its way all the way through the gearbox. So I just put a clump into one spot and then let the gears drag it around the rest of the gearbox. And that method tends to work really well for me. There we go. That's all the grease that I'm going to use. And the next thing I'll do is oil, but before I do that, I'm going to throw it back on the track here, and I'm going to run it and get that grease worked through the gearboxes. And the last train we're going to work on this evening, after I get the rest of the oil work done on this one, is a real treat. I have no clue what they did with this one. I've never seen a locomotive like it as far as the paint job, the paint scheme. It's a proto-lifelike locomotive. And we're going to pop the top on it and see just what we got going on with it. See just what they did inside, because it's kind of interesting. I can see some random wires and stuff kind of floating around in there. So somebody's done something kind of wonky to it, and I'm interested in seeing what they did. So if you look here, that worm gear, that pin there, that's a bearing. You want to put oil in that. Same on the other end. And then here, where that shaft runs on the motor, where my finger is, you want to put a little oil in there, and you want to put a little oil in here. The important thing is, don't get the oil in the motor at all. Get it in the motor. You may never get the thing to run again, or you won't ever get it to run right again. So you got to be real careful with that. But otherwise, it works really, really well. So I'm going to try to hold this to where you can see right there. I'm going to put a drop on that. Then I'm going to hold it up and down, and I'm going to let it kind of run down in the worm gear and run down in that bearing, and I'll work my spline shaft here to try to help work that oil into that bearing. So I have it worked into the bearing good, or I think I've got it worked in there really well. Then I'll take my paper towel and dab out the excess, so we don't need that getting on the track or getting into the gears and running down on the wheels or anything, because the oil is not dielectric. Although the grease is, the oil is not. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing here again. You can see that bearing. And we're just going to go above it and put a drop of oil. Make sure it doesn't run. Make sure it just stays right on top of that bearing. Work your spline shaft. And let that oil run down into the box here. Once you've got it in there to your satisfaction, just blot the remaining oil out of there so you don't make a mess and don't get it all over everything inside the locomotive. Now for these bearings here and here. And for this one, since you see my windings are all right here, you really don't want that oil to get in there. So if you're going to do that, kind of hold it to the side and just drop it and get it to run around it. Take your paper towel and go ahead and get what you can after it's went in around the bearing. Do it on both sides. And then work it a little more. Turn it over and we'll do the same thing. You do not want this oil on the commutator more than you don't want it in the windings. So you kind of hold it at an angle like this so it can run kind of to the side. Run a drop. See what I did there? That oil tried to run down to the commutator. You do not want that. So I'll catch that before I have a problem. And we got that. And then same over here. Catch it before you got an issue. Keep it off that commutator. Work your shaft here a little bit. Let that oil run down in that bearing. And that's the end of that. So now we should have something that functions really, really well and really, really smooth. and you really don't have any issues there beyond what the motor's capable of doing. I don't know if that's a 5, I doubt that's a 5-pole motor. I bet it's a 3-pole motor. But you get a decently slow turn, and you can get a pretty slow crawl with it. If you can see that shaft turning in there, it works freaking awesome. So, go ahead and put that shell onto this one. You can see it's just a plain New York Central shell, but I didn't have anything quite like it yet, so I went ahead and picked one up. And this one will be getting some kind of paint here before too long. I'll do some detail work to the vents on the top and such. And I will also be painting the side frames as well. I don't like that ugly steel color. So I'll be adding to those. There we go. Thanks for the follow, Bryson. Appreciate that. So now we got her on the rails. Got to be careful here. That's our next project. We're going to knock all 3 of them out tonight, and then I'm going to call it quits. So we're almost on our last one. So we're making pretty good time tonight. I was on a live for 4 hours the other night. Didn't even realize I was doing it. But yeah, I was on my live for 4 hours the other night. Crazy. That paper towel there. Oil, alcohol. There we go. So let's see how she does with the top on her. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. But yeah, she runs real smooth for an Athearn Blue Box. It's got that old motor and no flywheels, so that's what it is. But yeah, she runs real smooth now. I'll put her over to the side here, and we're going to take a look at this Proto. I don't know if this is a 2000 or not. I know it's a Proto. This was an eBay purchase, and I have not seen one like it. I have a feeling somebody custom painted this, but I'm not 100% sure. The shell is not like super clean. So it does need to be cleaned, and I am going to do some detail work on top and stuff, because you can see the top. They did some detail as far as the molding, but there is no paint work or color work on top. So the first thing I'm going to do is put it on the track. We're going to see if it works, which I'm hoping it's pretty smooth. I am missing some of these covers that go down on the axles here, and I'm probably going to end up having to order some of those because I have nothing else that has those. But let's see. Whoa. That's not a good sign. That is a terrible sign. And from what I had been told on eBay, this may be a bad deal. What I was told was this thing ran just fine. Now, unless we have something simple inside that might have got jostled when this was delivered, we may have somebody that was a little bit of a fibber. We'll see. Let's see if I can pop the shell off. And see if we've got something going on in here that's obvious. Because that sounded like gears. Whether it was or it wasn't, it sounded like gears. So we got some circuit board back here with some capacitors on it. We've got 2 little men in the front seat. That's cool. And I can't see anything completely out of the question yet. I don't see anything random. Okay, there it is. That is a drive line that is loose, and it looks like I've got a spline shaft that is either come out or something. So that's at least on one end. But it does look like all my screws are here. The only question is, looking at it, what route do I want to go to figure this out? I don't know if it twisted a shaft in half or what it did. Got some wonky stuff going on over here, where it's wanting to catch the bottom of the frame. Some wonky stuff going on over here, where it's wanting to catch the bottom of the frame. What's going on, Corey? Thanks for the follow, Juwan Wise. Let's see here. We got the wiring has been glued down. Well, that comes right off. Okay. That just sits in there like that. The plow does. Just kind of looking and investigating to see which route I want to go to do this. Because it works. It's not that it don't run. It's that we have some drive shaft problems, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to get this apart. And it looks like I can just take this off. That involves a flat screwdriver. So if I back these out, and it looks like they covered them in something so that they could tell if somebody had it apart or not. There's one. This is kind of disappointing because it was claim that it did run and it ran well. But we're going to take a look and see if it just got jostled and maybe we had a drive line come loose or something, or if we have something serious, a deeper problem. Because I really like the way this one's made. And I've never seen a shell quite like that, which that's kind of what excited me. Okay, so that side's coming up. This side is not, and I think it's because of this piece here, which involves a Phillips. So a Phillips here to take these two screws out. So we have a screw here. That one's coming. Kind of interesting. We've had our fair share of work this evening. That steamer made a little work for us, but we got it going. And now this diesel is going to give us some trouble. So that's loose. If I lift up here and slide backward, what happens? Not a whole lot. I may end up rewiring this one completely. We'll see. That comes up and off. What we got here? It looks like could very well be that knuckle just come off. So I'm going to fold these back like this for now. These little drivers get to ride upside down for the moment. And I'm going to see if I can get this to pop back up. Whoa. There's our trouble right there. Well, no wonder it wouldn't run. That's a spline shaft with a knuckle, not a knuckle, what's the term? And I hope that didn't fall down in that gearbox. Let's see what happens now. It should still want to run because the body's still sitting down where it's supposed to sit, although the screws aren't in it. So let's see. I think the other side's I think the other side's broke too. I think the other side is broke too. That's disappointing. But what are you gonna do? Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, that one's hanging off too. I wonder if he broke that one as well. I have a feeling this one was pulling something rather heavy, and they broke it while doing it. I have a very good feeling that that's exactly what happened. What do we got here? Yep, that's exactly what they did. They were pulling something real heavy and broke both their end shafts. Look at this nonsense. Runs good my butt. Man, that's disappointing. Now, the good news is it does pick up power well, and it does want to run. The only drawback is now I got to go find, and I don't have any here. I'm going to have to order some, but I have to find these pieces, which they shouldn't be too hard to find. I think this is either an E7 or an E8 locomotive, but I'll have to find these to clip back onto these, because, yeah, these spin plenty free. Does that one spin free? Yep. So, since those spin free, and I know I'm in good shape there, what do I got kind of holding on to me here? I know the wires are, but that's not what I mean. They're too, I have a 3D printer, and these are too small and too particular for me to make. And I can't make that spline. I have a hard time making those splines. So that's something I can't really do. That's something I'll have to find on eBay. Why aren't you doing the hobby now, Army? But otherwise, yeah, it runs good. It just, the spline shafts have both been tore up in it. Slow your speed right down and adaptable layering. I'll have to look into that. See, I'm new to the 3D printing world, and I'm trying to figure it out. See, the only things I've accomplished so far is I've built these. I've built some shipping containers for loads for my cars, and I built some of these 20-foot tankers, cage tankers. Oh my. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it, man. Divorce will get you. It'll get you. Man, that's rough. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'm not too upset about this. Yeah, I've got to find these, but or have them made. But you can't be too upset about. At least it runs, and I don't have any pickup issues. I could end up having to do like I did with that SD40-2 and that one I worked on the other night, that GP50. Found out your filaments protruding different and keep your plate temperature at or just under melt. I got you. Okay. Found out your filaments protruding different and keep your plate temperature at or just under melt. I'm going to have to get me a notepad and start making notes. but even with this being what it is, it's not the end of the world. It does have a pretty nice shell on it. It's just going to be a matter of waiting to fix that one. That one will have to go on another live to be fixed. I'll just have to find the parts for it. Put these screws somewhere that I don't lose them. Oh, do I have something to put them in? I usually have little cans and stuff. Here, we'll use this. That's a worm gear. There, pill bottle lid. That looks like an Athearn worm gear. Yep. That goes with that stuff. So PLA is like 9 volumetric speed, and PETG is 22, but PLA can print fast and PETG prints slow. And these parts are so small that I wouldn't mind if they printed slow. That wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. You know, if it took 30 minutes to make it, it took 30 minutes to make it. It's better than ordering it online and waiting 2 weeks for it to show up. Some of these train companies that make the trains and sell the parts, I've waited 6 months on parts before. It's frustrating. You'd think they'd have a better way of getting out the parts than that, but I digress. I don't mind if it took all day to make my pieces, as long as it made my pieces and they were accurate, or at least I didn't have to go hog wild on them. My normal is only 60 millimeters a second, or W.E. Gotcha. But I'm pretty thrilled with this. That works really, really well for what it is. I just have one more thing I got to fix on it, and that's just the I call it a sissy bar that holds the back of the locomotive and the tender together. But yeah, that's pretty great. Man, it's 7:30 already. We've been through 3 locomotives. Next time that I do a live, looks fun and can easily use a blender to create gearing too. Right on. I got to do more. I got to spend more time with the programming. I don't have a lot of time to sit down and mess with the programming. Blender's an app. Thanks for the follow, Brian. It's one of those deals where I'm either in here working, I'm working in the house, I'm working outside. I live alone, so I'm working on my house and that, or I'm in here tinkering with this. I try to do this about twice a week. So I'm just excited that I've got these 2 going that I've got, and I've got to work on this proto. But and I'm actually going to go back and take a look at how he listed it, because I might have to have a discussion with him. But because if it would have been anybody else, I'm not mad. I can fix whatever. But if it had been a kid or something, I'd hate to see a kid get disappointed because they sold it with bum drive shafts in it. But it's neither here nor there. Thanks for the follow, Charles. I appreciate everybody watching this evening. I'm happy we got what we got done. You guys got to see what I got at the train show. I do have some rolling stock we're going to work on in the next live that I picked up at the train show too. Thanks for the follow, Boost. Thanks for the follow, Kevin. I have 5 or 6 coal cars or hopper cars that I picked up for $3.50 a piece. They've got metal wheels and Katy couplers on them, so I'm going to do a little work with those. I need to get me some, like, a dark rust orange paint. I've seen a guy that's been doing some wash work that interests me, that I'm going to try to do a little wash work on some rail cars. And hopefully Steve from Sierra Valley can swing in and kind of give me some pointers that day too. But yeah, I want to try to start doing some wash work beyond the paint work that I do on some of my locomotives. I have a DD40 that I'd like to get finished. I do have to do some solder work on the motors because it's got a double motor drive, which is this dude here. I've got to do a little solder work on it. Whoever had it before me was trying and wasn't doing. This one actually isn't my work. They did okay here. They did okay here. And they did okay here. But we got one spot here that it just ain't holding up. So I have to very carefully pull that tab off and then try to resolder that end back on. But otherwise, it does run good for an old dual motor setup. So clean it up, paint it up, get some of the sticky crap off, put some grease in the gears, and have at it. So thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys haven't checked out the YouTube channel, definitely go give that a look. Same name as this, links in the bio, and I hope you guys really